Meadow. Today we're going to be brewing kombucha. Okay, so what you're gonna need for this is you're gonna need your teas. I recommend organic because I have had issues in the past with my sourdough starter. If I didn't use organic flour, it didn't ferment properly. So I just choose to use organic. You could just, try and see what happens. So I like to use a blend of green and black tea. I don't think this is technically what you're supposed to do. Everything's like, you can't do this with green tea. I like the flavor of it better, so that's what I do. You're gonna need your Scoby, which is this booger looking thing, and then a cup of kombucha. I have before, when I first did this, I got a Scoby from somebody and then it was too much for me. I was just overwhelmed with life and I threw it away. Or I put it in the fridge and then it wasn't active or something because I put it in there for like a really long time. So what I would recommend, if you don't know anybody that you can just get a Scoby from, you can certainly make your own. That's what I did after I threw that other one away. You just want to go to the store and you want to make sure that the kombucha you get has like the mother and like the little floaties on the bottom, like apple cider vinegar. You want to see that on the bottom and just try to get it unflavored. One, I used a flavored one and I got, I think the brand was Synergy, I think. But yeah, that's all you can do. And you'll just replace that with this and probably not let it ferment for like a little bit longer, maybe. And then, cause we do, anyways, yeah, don't just cut that out. Yeah, you can just replace the kombucha with this and then, it'll just create a Scoby. And then you might not get, like, kind of like with sourdough, like you're probably not gonna get the best results the first couple times you use it because it needs to like build strength, but it'll be good. And then you're gonna use, if you like the like bubbly kombucha, which me and my kids really do, you're gonna need these like little brew bottles. I got these on Amazon and they worked fine. I did try to get one from Goodwill and like the knob, the top, wasn't like sealing properly and so it didn't work, so you can just get one. Oh, and you'll need a funnel. That's a good call. Funnel. I don't know if I think a funnel is necessary. You could just kind of figure it out, but a funnel, measuring spoon, and then some frozen vegetables if you're wanting to do a flavor. Again, once it's got its first fermentation done, you can just drink the kombucha. I like to add a second fermentation, which adds in the bubbles and the flavoring. So for us, we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you how to do both like the cycle, but because we already have our first fermentation done, we're kind of starting in the second phase, and then I'll show you how to do the first phase as well. So what we're gonna do is start by blending up all of your fruit, like whatever flavor you want, just blend it up. You could do it whole and chop it. I like for it to be blended. I think it gets more of the flavor evenly dispersed in it. I just think it's easy, so that's what I do. I like to blend these when they're frozen so that they don't get, it's just a little bit easier to clean it up. It scrapes off really easily and they blend really well. They don't get like caught up in the machine, I guess. But then after that, I kind of just let them defrost so that they're easier to put in the little flip jars. I also always make sure to blend like a lot extra so that next week I don't have to do this. So like this will last me a long time, but that way you don't have to like do this every week. While we're waiting for that to defrost, let's get started on our next, like our first fermentation. While that is defrosting so that it funnels easier into the little flip top lids, let's go ahead and start on our first fermentation. So what that's gonna look like is I'm gonna take 2 cups of water and get that to boiling. Oh, I forgot to mention you also need sugar. I don't know what's wrong with me. I do, I'm tired. I've started 2 cups of water boiling. So in wherever I'm gonna like brew that, I'm just gonna go ahead and add 1/2 cup of sugar. Make sure you measure the water first because the sugar will make it seem higher than it is. And then you're gonna do 4 tea bags. You can hear that kettle, sorry. I like to do 2 green and 2 black. Okay. So my water is ready. I'm just adding that in over here. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and stir this to try to dissolve all of that sugar on the bottom. And then you're just gonna let this brew into some really, really, really strong tea. Again, people might, you know, do this differently. Like, I don't know, because I'm just gonna add water in to dilute this later, but this is what works for me. Okay, moving this aside so that it will brew. We're gonna go ahead and start on this coffee. Okay, so we have, I don't know how big these bottles are. They look pretty standard size, but I'm going to take 3 tablespoons. It really doesn't, it's, all of this is to like flavor in your preference, so just go for it. So that's my 3 tablespoons. Now I can just go ahead and fill this up. I'm gonna fill mine up all the way to this little head part. Oops, okay. That might have been overfilled, but here we are. Okay, so we're just gonna keep doing that until I have no kombucha left because I have set my, you know, cup aside. So you can use up the rest of yours. So, like I said, 3 tablespoons. That's what I like to do. It gives it a really nice flavor, I think. And the more like fruit you have in it, I mean, I think there's like probably a point where it's not productive, but the more fruit, obviously the sweeter, but it also gives the fermented Scoby stuff to eat on. So I think you're gonna get like a lot more like activity and bubbles and yeah. I've done this where I made a syrup out of, like I just added water and mashed fruit up and boiled it down. I didn't think the flavor was as good. This I like a lot better. I think the flavor is just a lot nicer. And if this was defrosted, I don't want to wait for it right now, but if this was defrosted, it would be a lot easier. Like it is, I'm making it a lot harder than it has to be, which is like my motto and my thing. So a few things that I have found to be helpful are I thrifted, I used to have a jar like this that didn't have a lid on it, and I didn't like rubber band down the, what the hell? I didn't rubber band down the cloth that was sitting on top, and flies got in it and laid maggots, and it was disgusting. So it's because it's fermented, it does have like a little bit of that like fermented smell, and so fruit flies and flies are just like super drawn to it. So I would definitely get something with a lid. You don't want it, I don't think you want it to be airtight, but this is nice because it's got a little weight to it and keeps it closed a little bit better. The recipe that I'm doing, I think we'll see how many jars it does, but you can double it. I think last summer when I was drinking a lot of kombucha, I doubled this recipe for it, but obviously like how fast you're drinking it matter, you know, you got to do whatever. Whenever these are brewing, I like to do a second fermentation for about 4 days. And so that means today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Saturday I'll be drinking, like opening them and drinking them. Things I've found when you're opening them, putting them in the fridge. I'm not really sure. It like calms the bubbles and the pressure down, so they don't have as much of a chance of like just shooting off on like you whenever you open them. not always, but that I found the chances are better. These will, if you look up videos, these have like been known to break before because of the pressure. Because if you look, I'll show you. Like, there's a lot. The point of this, hold on, I'm gonna show y'all. You can kind of see like the bubbles and the pressure. So the point of this bottle is to, while this is like bubbling up, it's pushing the bubbles back into the beverage to carbonate it essentially. It's not going to be the same as like a store-bought carbonation because they are putting in like artificial carbonation into it. But I like mine. I like the artificial carbonation in kombucha from the stores. So I like mine to be really, really, really like bubbly. So I don't burp my jars. Burping is just when you open it and release some of the pressure and then close it back down. So I don't burp mine. I just would rather the thing. And so to prevent it from potentially exploding, because that is a possibility that the pressure will just build up, I just keep it in my jar or in my cabinet above my oven and close the doors. And that's how I do it. And then I put them in the fridge before I open them. And then that's it. That's kind of just how I have found that works. But I think the carbonation level, like I don't really know how to gauge that. I don't know if it's like weather or how like good your starter is or how much fruit you put in it, because I don't know. So I think you just kind of have to watch that and maybe research that a little bit and see like what works for you. For me, this works great. I like the bubbliness of it. I like the flavor of it. So that's what we do. So I got 3.5 out of like the recipe that I will give you in a minute. So if you need more than that, you'll just want to make accordingly or adjust accordingly. Now we're going to start on our first fermentation. So I've got my sugar, 2 cups, and my tea bags, which I'm going to do 4 bags of tea in this little measuring cup. This is my 1 cup of Scoby. And then I'm going to do 7 cups. So you want 7 cups total in water. So after this with the fermented tea, I'm going to do 5 cups. So I'm going to go ahead and put those 5 cups in here. I'm going to add my Scoby in, and then when this cools down a little bit more, we'll add it in. You don't want this to be too hot because it can kill all the bacteria in the Scoby. Okay, so that's my 5 cups of water. Then I'm going to add back in my 1 cup of kombucha and the Scoby. And then when this cools down a little bit, I'll just add this in, and then that'll be it. Okay, and then you're gonna add in your brewed and sweetened tea. Okay, so we're gonna let this go ahead and ferment for 7 days. So I do this on a Tuesday. That's like my big prepping day for the week. So next Tuesday, I will do this whole system again. I'll go ahead and put the 3 tablespoons in each of the bottles, fill them up, let them have a second fermentation until Saturday up above my oven, and then just let this sit until Tuesday and then start the process again. So the recipe I gave y'all, the 7 cups, made 3 and like a half, or 3 and a half of these split bottles. So last summer I was drinking a lot of kombucha, so I just like doubled the recipes. So this is a little bit more manageable for how much kombucha we're drinking right now, but there you go. That's it.